welcome back to another episode of Kickstart Connections. I know you're right. I am not Lucy. It is Mark in the captain's seat today. I took over, and I'm very excited for this episode because I've got someone who is very special and is doing some really cool things in the city of Halifax. We met, I believe, last summer or the summer before during the first Halifax Fashion Week, which honestly, we were just talking, the last 4 or 5 years have flown by. So it's somewhere in there. But I'm joined by Robert Mbu of Batuo. Before we do get into it, if you are listening on your favorite podcast platform, I got to do the call to actions. We got to get you to subscribe. So if you're listening on a podcast platform, please subscribe to this podcast. Leave a rating and give us a little review. Let us know what you like, what you don't like, or suggest some guests. You know, we're doing stuff here locally in Halifax, but we also do across the country, maybe even internationally if you're doing something cool enough. And if you're listening on YouTube, please like, subscribe, click that bell button so you always know when a new episode is coming out, and leave a comment as well. Share with the community. So, Robert, happy to have you here.
So happy to be here. I mean, it's been a long time coming from last Fashion Week, like you said. So, and I'm so happy that it's your episode when you're back, right? So I guess this is all special.
Yeah, we were just saying this is kind of my first real hosting job since Brand New View, which is the podcast that started all for BNV. But it was no one better to do it with. I remember first meeting you, and actually before I met you, Soli, who, if anyone knows, Salita is the head of Soli Productions, awesome in the fashion industry, really reviving it here in Halifax, was showing me some of your pieces before the show, whether it was we're going to get that right, whether it was last year or the year before. I think it was last year.
No, it was last year.
Yeah, because it led right into the fall of Fashion Week. Yeah. And I thought, like, absolutely incredible. Like, I don't want to. I know there's a lot of fashion designers here that we work with, and I love them all. But I'm a little partial to the stuff that you were creating. I mean, the flame suit for sure was sticking out for me.
Thank you.
And as a Dragon Ball Z fan growing up,
Oh my god!
okay,
Oh my god! Yes.
Here we go. Here we go. And you're wearing a piece right now. I can see a flame right there. That's really nice.
Exactly.
That is clean.
Yeah, it actually means something, but we're gonna get into that.
We're gonna get into it. Yeah. So and we are gonna get into it right now. Enough of me talking. You don't want to hear my voice anymore. So I got a couple questions that I do want to ask you, but usually where we start with Kickstart Connections is an origin story. So your origins. How did Batuo come to be? Your inspirations, that kind of thing. Let's start from the beginning.
Okay, so I'm Cameroonian. My name is Robert Mbu Batuo. Batuo is my middle name, and it's my mom's maiden name, right?
Okay.
So from the moment I was 3 years old, I know a lot of artists say this, but honestly, I mean, it may sound cliche, but it's the truth. From the moment I was 3 years old, the first thing I knew how to do before I knew how to do anything was to draw, right? And I loved telling stories. So my parents would I loved it so much, my parents would take me to their friends' houses to tell their friends' stories, right?
Really?
So drawing and storytelling have been with me all my life, right? But I grew up in Africa. So, I always had to do what I had to do and forget about the fact that I could ever be an artist, because who's going to support that, I mean, from where I come from. But I never stopped, and it was very important to me to always find a group of artists to create with. And that's how I kept my passion growing, right? And anime came at the perfect time because, I mean, you're saying Dragon Ball. The first thing I ever drew was Goku from Dragon Ball. I swear, that's the first thing I ever drew. Goku is like my superhero. I think even in my life, I look up to the anime heroes as my superheroes, as my inspirations, right? So I kind of like taking their concepts. But anyway, so I got to university, and then I had to do a degree in accounting because, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, right? So anything they said I should do, I was going to do. But while doing the degree, at this point, I was already designing clothes for some friends. The love of fashion and designing came much later. It came during my teenage years, after so many years of seeing my mom like so well dressed, So she's a huge inspiration for that. Yeah, shout out mom. And actually the name Batuo is her maiden name. So she gave me her maiden name, right? So, just from seeing her, I started like designing clothes for my friends to go for parties. I'll be the person to take them to tailors. The skinny jeans era came. I'll take them to tailors to like reduce their jeans. Like sew suits for them and everything. So I was sort of getting some confidence in the design side. And then in university, this friend of mine was trying to go to the US, and then he told me to design some stuff for him, right? So I did it, and then he took me to a designer shop, and it was the first time that I had seen a designer shop in the city where I went to university. The moment I stepped into that place, that was it. I was sold. Like I just asked this lady, "Can I intern for you? I don't even care if you pay me. I don't care. Just let me intern for you, right?" So she said yes. And it turns out I spent way more time there than I actually even stopped going to accounting class. Right?
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
Right. It's kind of similar to your story. But, it turns out I wasn't going to pass my degree on time. So I really thought about, like, what is it I really want to do with my life? Because my whole life I'd been told what I should do, right?
Yeah.
But what is it that I really want to do? And I was already doing designing. And then I thought, okay, well, this is something I can really see myself doing for a long time. And so, I went to my dad and I was like, Dad, I want to go to fashion. I want to become a designer, right? But I wasn't telling him I want to become a designer with just crazy ideas. I was like, I want to become a designer. This is what I've been doing anyways.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it anyways. So you're either going to support or,
this isn't me asking for permission.
I'm just telling you.
Yeah.
So, you should know this is really where my heart is at. But it was interesting because in African families, normally that conversation is shut down. But my dad was like, yeah, I can see it.
Oh, nice.
And I'll support you. I was like, really?
There we go. Shout out Dad.
Yeah, really. So shout out the whole family, really.
Come on.
Yeah. So he said, okay. But he said the condition was I had to finish my degree in 1 year and then I was going to go. I've never studied accounting more in my life. I swear. Like I went to school. Like I didn't play because I was like, everything I was doing at that point was either going to block me from fulfilling my dreams or it was going to push me further. But I did a degree and passed, got a degree to get into fashion school. And then when I applied for a visa, the embassy said no because they were like, we've never seen this. Like, you're trying to say you're an accountant, you're trying to change careers and go into the arts, you're probably lying. So they refused me
Even
the
the
visa.
government was like, no.
Yeah, they were like, nope. We've never seen this. This has to be a lie. I came back to my dad and he was like, bro, prepare a portfolio for these people. These people don't know who they're playing with.
Yeah.
I was like, I love the energy, right?
There we go.
Especially coming from an African family, I'm saying I'm really blessed for that. So, we reapplied, and then in 5 days after sending the portfolio, they gave me my visa after 5 days, right?
Okay, wow.
So I went to fashion school in Montreal, and then, it turns out in fashion school, for some reason, I had a lot of a reputation for being very good, right? So all the teachers knew my name. I'd be creating all this dope stuff, right? So I thought in my mind, my ego got into my head, and I thought when I finished from school, all this Versace and Louis Vuitton are going to be hiring me.
Yeah.
I was just going to take off. I came out of school, nobody wanted to give me a job.
And what year was that?
It was 2019.
2019.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I went to fashion school in 2017, finished 2019.
Finished 2019.
Yeah, so nobody wanted to give me a job, and then I got to a point where now my parents couldn't be taking care of me anymore. I had to pay rent, I had to pay all that stuff. So I'm just like,
the adult responsibilities kick in.
You know what I mean? So what am I going to do? But, I started doing all these other jobs that I probably didn't like. But what being at these places showed me something. So I was looking for a place at the table, right? Which I couldn't find. And then I found so many other artists that were also looking for the place at the table.
Yeah.
They couldn't find it. But they were so talented, right? So I said, okay, well, if I start my own company, then we don't have to go beg for a seat at anybody's table anymore. We're going to be able to create our community and do our own stuff and look for our own opportunity, right? So we have a bigger bargaining power.
Yeah.
That's where the idea to start the company was born.
More power together.
And then, the girl I was dating by that time, I was spinning all these crazy names about what I was going to call my company and everything. And then she just sat and she was like, but wait, why don't you just call it Batuo?
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God. That's kind of like African but for Versace. It's kind of like Versace before African.
Okay,
yeah. So that's where the name came about, and that's where the reason for me creating the company came about. I just wanted to create a space where artists wouldn't have to like struggle, like we would actually have a place where we can create our stories, like share our stories with the world and just express ourselves most authentically.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you started the company, like how many people would you say were part of kind of that group that was like, okay, we're not getting the opportunities. Like, were you kind of spearheading it and you're like, this is my company, but everyone that I'm with is going to get an opportunity within that company? Or was there kind of like like a not a board necessarily, but like several leaders involved, or how did that work?
Actually, it was just me, and when I came up with the idea, I hadn't started it yet, right? I just started building it because
Right.
my career was just starting. I didn't really have no mentors in like the art field and everything that were gonna like show me, these are the ropes and all. I finally did get one, so we created a collective, but it wasn't my thing, right? I just thought it would be great to join different artists collectives so I can at least push my craft, right?
Yeah,
So then I moved to Halifax because of immigration, right? So when I moved to Halifax, I co-founded this organization called Mbu the Abstract that does paint and sip, spoken word, and all that, right?
Oh, cool.
So doing that, actually, woke me up to my voice, right? Because I just knew I was a designer, but I didn't know what my voice was really. So in my mind, I knew, okay, I really want to bring artists together, but I don't know
Yeah.
how to do this. I don't even know how to word it. I don't know all that.
Yeah.
But coming here and actually, trying to change the Halifax art landscape and forming Maui actually gave me my voice, and I was like, oh, okay, this is what I really want to do. I want to bring community together and everything, right?
Yeah.
So then I found my business partner and I, Suleiman. Shout out Suleiman. We met randomly. So he's very good at businesses, and I'm very good with the creativity, right?
Yeah.
So then we decided to go just like that. So for a long time, it was just me and him. And then we had a head of marketing join us at some point, but he's not really with us anymore. But, for a long time, it was just the three of us. And then we did that all through Fashion Week. And then after Fashion Week, a couple of things happened that actually sparked our idea to like rebrand ourselves now as a creative community. Right.
Okay.
So then now, I guess I'm the leader of that community, of the creative community and everything. But we have a lot of artists which we work with, like musicians, graphic artists, painters, and just every different kind of artist. So that's really the
Interesting.
setup. Yeah.
Okay. So you started and you're like, we want to go the collective way. And
Yes.
then you're like, I'm not sure how that's going to look. And then
Yeah.
eventually it
Everything
came together.
Exactly. Everything just fell into place the way it was supposed to, just naturally.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. And when you moved to Halifax, and I guess even like during university and you're kind of carving out what your creative style looked like, and I know from a young age you said the anime was there, so those inspirations were already there. But how kind of explain to me that journey of some of the, and I know I'm touching mostly on the fashion right now because we are going to get to Fashion Week, which is actually
of course.
coming up this week in Halifax. But explaining to me like that process of coming to what Batuo looks like now from the fashion point, because some of the stuff is incredible, and the avant-garde stuff that I saw, I was telling you off camera, that Soli was showing me, like, I was like, wow, this is the big leagues. Like, how did you get to that point?
Okay, so back when I was in university in Cameroon, I started watching like Alexander McQueen, and Versace and Givenchy and all these guys, right? Now Jean-Paul Gaultier, right? And and all these guys, and I really loved their style of designing that was more eccentric. It was more artistic, right? Than it was fashion, right? So back then I thought, well, I want to do fashion, but I also want to run a business and be able to like create fabric, create a lot of manufacturings, right? Like create a big manufacturing back home. But then when I came to school, I realized, okay, well, if they're teaching all of us the same thing, right? You need to be able to demarcate yourself in some way or form, right? So I started to find different techniques of how I can actually separate myself from the crowd. I'm African, so normally as an African designer, people would assume you would do what they call African print, right? So my goal initially was to completely stay away from that. So I just said, okay, I'm never going to be doing this. I'm going to find a different thing, because if I find a different thing, then that gives different techniques to Africans that they can do, right? So it gives them different alternatives to what they can do, right? So then I said, well, in my point, who's the best person who's ever created prints in life? I thought it was Versace, right? So then I chose to reverse engineer the things he does. Like, his prints are about like Italian heritage and everything. So reversing engineer that, I started to tell stories of my African experience, but then use those to create prints, right?
Okay.
So then that's how I created my custom fabric prints. And then back then in school, I wanted to like get some fabric prints, but like it would have been too expensive, right? So I
Yeah.
was like, okay, well, why don't I just go directly on the fabric and just paint it? So then I started doing that, right? And then at some point towards the end, I needed to like get to a next level, right? So then I found this technology is like a 3D pen, but the way I draw with it, it comes out like an embroidery, right? So that's like a next level. So I wanted to learn all these techniques.
3D pen. I've never heard of
Yeah,
this. Okay.
yeah, it's really cool. I call it a God pen. If I draw anything on it, it comes out to life. So it's kind of
okay.
So having all these techniques now, I was like, okay, now I have enough alternatives which I can propose as something different from using African print, because what people call African print isn't even African, right? It's Belgian.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is crazy. Like we can't.
I can't get into the Belgians.
You know what I mean? There is like thousands of years of African culture and stories which you can use, right? So I said, okay, I'm going to find a way to use those. But after school, I just kept developing, the 3D pen, because that was really, in Montreal, you need to like, you need to really go higher, higher, right?
Yeah.
So I think that was the most catchy one I could do, because I guess they've seen people paint. I mean, they might not have seen them paint on fabrics and all, but people have created prints, people have painted, right? So the 3D pen, I pushed that. But then when I came to Halifax, again, I go back to Mawia, the leader, Sasha, she wanted to start a paint and sip business. And then she met me, I just moved here, and then I could paint, right?
Yeah.
So I started teaching, growing the company, like teaching the participants and everything how to paint and all. So I actually learned now how to teach a large group of people how to paint, right? So then when I left to focus on my own company, I was like, okay, so now I have the fabric printing on one hand, I have my design knowledge on the other hand. And so the next thing I could do, if I want to gather communities of artists around me, is to create a collection where each of them can participate, right? Yeah. And the best way they can do that is by painting on fabric. So then that led me to the full circle. Now there's the prints, technology, painting on fabric. So through that, I was able to open up the brand to anybody who's willing to like join or help, or anybody who has never designed before, or anybody who has never done any art before. Now I can actually teach them how to do that. So that's how, we're able to create community collections and everything.
That's very cool. And I think that kind of leads to this next question is, you have so much going on with Batuo and probably so many different personalities, different people from every walk of life. Yeah. Like, how do you create that safe space for expression and innovation and growth, while balancing responsibilities?
Right. So I came to understand, because for a long time in my life, I was romanticizing the idea of a starving artist. But
of course.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But I think, there's so much more to life. You should try to enjoy it. Like I don't think trying to achieve a status as a great artist should be the only thing you should be concerned about, right? Because if you're not here anymore, in the next 6 months, everybody's gonna forget. You know what I mean? So I came to the understanding that there are so many other things in life that I want to experience, right? So it's good to balance some kind of financial stability, with your art practice, and that way it even makes your art better and it makes your art happier, right?
That's a good point.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something usually artists don't like to hear, but it's the truth, right? And I found it myself, and that has actually changed a lot of things for me. Okay, so
because you think, sorry, just to interrupt, because you think of so many artists like, my art comes from my pain or something like that. But I think what you're trying to say is like, there are ways to channel that, but in a healthy way.
So the truth is, emotional suffering and emotional and spiritual suffering is going to make your art better. It's not financial suffering that makes your art better. Yeah. Financial suffering just makes you hungry.
That makes You
know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just makes you starving. Yeah. It doesn't make you an artist.
It can sometimes blind you, I guess.
You know what I mean? It's the emotional and spiritual suffering. That's what deepens your art, right? Okay. So a lot of times people say the best art comes from pain. That might be true, right? But The Weeknd produced his best album. Maybe he had gone through a lot of breakups, but he wasn't starving to produce his album.
He was not.
You know what I mean? He was in emotional pain and spiritual pain, and that's what produced the album, right? So I think when a lot of times artists, we transmutate pain into beauty. Everybody sees the beauty, but the pain stays in us, and then we have to deal with it. So I'm more advocating now for people to create from a place of joy, like go on vacation in Italy, you know what I mean? And see how beautiful Italy is.
Yeah.
And then come back so happy and so inspired that you do the best collection ever, you know what I mean? Like fall in love, and be happy and then produce from that. So I'm more of trying to advocate people now to produce from a place of joy rather than too much from a place of pain, because then the pain stays in you and then it accumulates and accumulates and accumulates, and then you have nowhere to take it to.
Yeah,
right?
and it's typically it's not a happy ending.
No. You know, like a lot of the greatest artists, like they commit suicide, like they get into drug, and it's that thing where they transmutate their pain. The whole world sees Whitney Houston. The whole world sees all the joy, right? But no one knows how much pain this lady was enduring inside.
Yeah, right? And that really goes across the spectrum for all artists, whether it's actors, musicians, singers, painters. Vincent Van Gogh.
Yeah.
Shout out Vincent.
All right. But, and people use him as an example as to the fact that like, but Van Gogh never made any money. I don't think he either didn't want to make any money or he wasn't very happy about the fact that he didn't make any money. Right. Because the world has a way we want it to be, and then it also has rules, right? Artists are supposed to break rules, but there's just some rules, you can just leave them. Break all the rest, but just try to take care of yourself. Yeah. Because through that, your art is going to flow even more beautifully. That's really my message.
Really opens it up.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing you were asking, how does Batuo Inc. create a safe space? I would say, so personally, I know the struggle of the artist, right? Because I've been this for as long. Like, I didn't just wake up 3 years ago and decide that I wanted to be an artist, right? Yeah. It's been from birth. So I'm 30 now. I've been I've been on that journey for about 27 years now, right? So by me being able to honestly connect to people through my story, right? Because when I meet an artist, automatically I kind of understand you. So when you start telling your story, I'm just like, oh, we live the same life, right? Yeah. And also it's me being open about my struggles personally, like struggles with mental health, like struggles with all that stuff. So it's just my openness, makes it so much so that, people can be open to come into the space, right? And collaboration is very huge for me, okay? I don't think there's anything as a best artist or as a best designer. I don't think there's anything like that. It doesn't make sense, So like I value collaboration over competition any day, okay? So I think the fact that, I'm able to like let somebody in and not feel threatened by their light, right? Because we can all shine. Like there's enough space in that. There's more than enough space in the sky for stars. You know what I mean? We can all find our thing and then do it well. And then, we're all going to have a place, right? Yeah. So I guess these ideals, when they come together, and I love, like, I'm the kind of person, if you're trying to start anything, just reach out to me. I love starting something new, Yeah. I love taking ideas to reality. I think that's the biggest thing I like about being a designer, is being able to come out from nowhere with something that, didn't exist and bring it to life, right? So because of that penchant, right, I'm able to like, really foster innovation amongst a lot of people. And also because of how I am personally, with the way I'm open about, my life struggles, my personal struggles, and financial struggles and all that stuff. I think that in itself brings everybody together, right? And also the symbolism of the brand. The name means the fire that rises from the ashes, right? Which means to be reborn. We all go through times in our life where we need to be reborn, times in our lives where, we need to rise from our ashes, right? So by me being able to be honest about that, and even about my own journey, about how I've had to like fall and rise, constantly rise from the ashes, I think that in itself envelops people into a safe space where they can just come and be themselves and like, just be their best selves.
That's fantastic. And you kind of answered this question, and I think you foster the safe spaces from the top down. You're a leader and a boss, and it's hard to manage a business but also manage people. So how do you celebrate diversity and ensure that every voice is being heard within your organization? Because when there's so many different people, and especially like you said with art, like you can't say like that art's bad or that art's good. I think it's so subjective. So how do you keep that balance of saying, you may not be getting embraced yet, or you may still be trying to find your vision. How do you continue down that road?
That's a very good question. I think personally, I have a gift for knowing how to sell a vision to people. I have a gift for making you believe in something even when you don't understand it, right? And I think it's how much so. And this would be very simple, and it's crazy. I had never actually thought about that till right now. It's just the fact that like that I'm gonna give everything about myself for this, right? So I show it in the sense that, well, if I'm calling you to collaborate with me or to help me do something, if you don't do it, I was going to do it anyways, right? Yeah. I'm actually just calling you so we can do it together and then just create a vibe from it, right? But I would do it anyway. So I would give everything. And if you see your leader ready to risk it all, that sparks something in your mind, right? Because like, I'm not just saying, okay, I'm just going to sit down here and then you will just be painting that stuff, right? Yeah. I'm going to call you and we're going to sit down and we're going to paint it together, okay? And I don't do group relationship, right? So I don't do the thing where there's like 10 people and then I just know them as a group. I try to know each and every person who works one-on-one with me or anything. I try to know them personally. But I actually make an effort to know them personally. So me and you, we have a personal story. So I kind of understand what it is that you want, right? I understand what you're trying to do. And then we create from what you want, right? Yeah. So that way there can't be any mistake because, it's actually your thing. Yeah. So it's my thing, but I'm giving you the space to do your thing. You know what I mean? So either way, it's going to come out nice because you're going to give your best self, right? Yeah. And also, I'm going to be right there with you, right? You're not just going to take that and go home and then, so you're going to be seeing me working with you and you're going to be seeing me as excited, even more excited than you for what you're doing, right? Because I be jumping around the place. I be doing all this, high energy stuff because, I'm very passionate about this. I'm very happy about it. So just by seeing the example, right? And by actually feeling like I do care, because I do care about your journey. I really care about the reason I'm doing all this because I really care about the artist. You know what I mean? I care. I mean, I probably care so much. That's how I know it's my purpose, right? Because it doesn't, like, the treatment of artists doesn't piss people off half as much as it does me, right?
Keeps you up at night.
It keeps me up at night. I'm like, oh my God, nobody cares about the arts. Like, I tell my mentor Ryan all the time, it's just like, they need to care about the arts. They need to, it's kind of like,
I know,
like revolutionary, but I really care, right? Yeah. So I'll tell you the truth about my journey, right? And I think just being able to do that, it makes people see that this is actually bigger than all of us. Like, it's bigger than me. The company, it's my middle name, but it's not about me, right? But as I'm able to infuse the reality and the truth of my life into it, that's how people buy into it. And again, like I said, Mark, I could sell you a vision for
I can tell.
Yeah, if I know how to sell you a vision of things, because it's just the truth, right? I tell you the truth. If we collaborate, it's gonna work. You don't collaborate, it doesn't work. That has nothing to do with me. It's law. If you want to go far in life, you go together. If if you want to go fast, then you go alone. But we're all trying to go far, right? Yeah. So collaboration is just the truth, and those are the messages that I preach, and those are the messages I infuse into the identity of Batuo Inc.
Wow, that's a social media clip right there. If I've ever heard one, I love that. Like. Yeah. That's such a great quality in a leader is, treating people as individuals, because the needs of a group are different from the needs of individuals. Right. Everyone has different wants and different needs. So to care to that. Now I know company gets a lot bigger and it's harder to do that, but that's neither here nor there right now. It's like, you understand the size that I have, that you have with Batuo, like you're able to focus on each individual and get the most out of everyone, which is fantastic.
Yeah, and when I get them in, I see a lot of times they think I'm giving them energy, but they're giving me energy because I see how excited they are for the brand, and I'm just like, okay, cool, I like this, right? Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, as I alluded to earlier, we do have the second annual Halifax Fashion Week coming up. And this time it's an actual week. It's not a month long. Yeah. We've condensed it down to a week. And your show is on the 15th, I believe. Where is it?
So it's I think the Queen's Marque at the waterfront.
Okay, yes. Yeah,
that's
going to
the
be
waterfront. It's going to be man, you I mean, I know, like, I would normally say that, but you really don't want to miss this one. You
well,
really
tell me about the significance of this new collection with the blazers for the sets for the men and women.
Okay, so for this year, the year started with me in like a very bad financial situation. You know, like I've been struggling financially like crazy. I mean, I don't know what is gonna make you think about me when you watch this, but it's just the truth, right?
I was like, wait a second, we just went over this.
Yeah, you know, and like we've all been struggling, right?
Yeah.
So it's been hard in the economy. So I was sitting and talking to one of my friends, and I was like, man, I need to make a collection about this year, you know, and I was gonna call it Inflated, right? But he said, no, why don't you call it In This Economy? I was like, oh, yes, that one, right?
Nice.
Yeah. So then, we're like hustling, looking for partnerships from everywhere we couldn't find and everything. And it was so hard. Like we went to everybody like, please, give us money because, we're such a good company. Everybody was just like, no, we don't know. You're trying to tell us to believe in something we've never seen. We don't know about this.
Yeah.
But then Hospice Halifax, right? The company, they decided to partner up with us, in revamping their thrift store, right? Like changing the narrative around their thrift store because they help people at end of life, people at the end of lives, and like they give bereavement support. So I think usually when people think about their company, there's a bit of gloom about it, even though they're doing the most beautiful job for society, right? So we partnered up and said, yeah, we can change this. We can do Halifax Fashion Week, like you can revamp all the stuff. So because I couldn't afford to buy a new collection from my manufacturer, right? Because it's a lot of money. So I said, okay, well, so if I never have money, I'm never ever going to create anymore. I was like, nah, I need to find a different way. So this year I started like revamping stuff, right? I did it at the Junos, the Junos red carpet. It was all revamped stuff, So they said, oh, okay, now we have access to all the stuff in the store, right? So you can revamp that stuff. So they're actually, like our collections this year is focused on, in this economy, thriving in the economy. So the idea of the blazers and everything is just like, the idea of a boss in an economy that's struggling, but you still look like a boss, right? Because at Batuo Inc. right now, our slogan is say it, believe it, wear it. So you say you are who you say you are, right? You say you're a boss, okay? Believe it, right? Believe in yourself and then wear it, right? So this insignia, the fire on this, is just showing the fire that rises from us, right? When you rise from the ashes and then you raise to the highest level.
Why.
Exactly, right? So when you wear this fire and you move around, you remember that like you're somebody who has gone through the ashes, but you rose up. So you're a king and you're a queen, right? You're a boss. And you need to say it, you need to believe it, and you need to wear it, and you need to show up as that kind of person. So that's what our new collection is about. It's a collection of blazers for women, some shirts for men and everything, but the whole concept around it is just rising from the ashes and being and showing up as your best self, right?
Yeah. And,
especially in an economy that's thriving, that's really what the whole Fashion Week is going to be about, like thriving inside an economy that is like on the way to decline, right?
Yeah.
But still being able to like believe in yourself and believe in your dreams and push for what you want in that economy and also show up like it. You know, I mean, I showed up here today. I'm not necessarily driving a Bentley, but I'm showing up with this fire. And when I wear this fire, I know that I'm a king.
Yeah.
You can't tell me nothing.
No.
And that's what this collection is about.
You see this?
Really. Yeah.
On the camera. Look at that fire.
Yeah, you can't tell me nothing.
I'm starting to understand why your dad didn't challenge you when you said you wanted to go to Batuo. You were not taking no for an answer.
No. I very convincing. I gave him all the, and it's also the way I was just like, Dad, I really want to do this. My whole life I've not known what I wanted to do, but this I really want to do because I think fashion to me is not even like it's not even it's not even so much the clothes. I think it's a more spiritual journey to me, right? It's a journey that led me to my purpose, right? Because on the other hand, I'm also the regional business regional business advisor for Group 3737.
Mm-hmm.
So, I do business mentoring, like try to raise entrepreneurs and everything. If I never got into fashion design, I would have never gotten to the point where I could think of myself as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So I think this to me is like a spiritual journey of liberation, a spiritual journey of how I'm able to like fulfill my purpose.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, now I know that, but back then I kind of knew it. I just had a different way of explaining it. I was just like, yes, this is what I want to do, And
it's true. And you say it's like when entrepreneurs, they look back on their life, they're like, oh, I was always an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Like there was nothing getting in the way of that.
Yeah.
Which is super cool. Well, you spoke about the journey of Batuo and yourself. So I want to kind of end with this final question. It's a classic. Like, where do you see Batuo going over the next, 5 to 10 years? And where would you really like it to go?
Okay, so I see that we're running a huge artist syndicate, So we have an actual artist syndicate where, we have a registered list of artists in every city where we have a presence. And then, we can connect them to opportunity, connect them to funding, connect them to business opportunities, right? Connect them to a larger audience, right? Give them platforms to perform. So I'll be running that kind of syndicate.
Yeah.
Batuo would be in every fashion week in the world. That's a given. We're going to be everywhere, And also, I would actually be moving around and educating people, on how to believe in their dreams, right? And how to go about their dreams. Because believing in your dreams is one thing. Everybody tells you believe in your dreams and chase your dreams. But whatever you chase runs away from you. So there's a way you need to go about your dreams that's going to make them sustainable. So I'll be going around, sharing my story coming from Africa, choosing to go my own path and how that has worked out for me. That's really what, I don't want to, there's also a lot of other things that are going to be happening, but those are the 3 key things which I think are going to be, are going to be a game changer. I don't want to say a particular city where we're going to be at because we're going to be everywhere. But those are the things which, I know we're gonna achieve because we've already built the foundations for all that. So it's just to take it there.
Yeah, absolutely. That's fantastic. Before we head out, Robert, tell the people, where can they find you online, where they can find Batuo online, or obviously the 15th of August.
Yeah,
you can find you in person.
In
real life at the waterfront Queens Marque. What time is that show?
It's I think it's like 5 p.m.
5 p.m.
Yeah, but I'm the closing show. So, but I would hope everybody comes and sees all the rest because we have so many amazing designers this year, like young. And so much diversity in the collections, man. Like I've seen some stuff and I'm like, okay, this is going to be a really hot one.
I'm excited. I'm excited. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah. So we have a website, www.batuo.ca. So the brand name.ca. On Instagram, it's Batuo Inc. So the name of the brand. On TikTok, Batuo Inc. On YouTube, Batuo Inc. On LinkedIn, at Batuo. Facebook, we have Batuo Inc. and we have the Batuo Inc. Creative Collective. And so we're basically everywhere. You just need to open your eyes and we're just going to show up in front of you.
Fantastic. Love that so much. Well,
yes, sir.
Robert, it's been fantastic learning more about your story, your journey. Very excited to see where Batuo goes. And I can personally guarantee it's going wherever he wants it to go.
Yes, sir.
Damn right. Well, thank you so much, Robert. Before we get out of here, it's that call to action time again. If you are listening on your favorite podcast platform, please subscribe to this podcast, rate it, leave a review. Let us know how much you love this episode because I know no one hated it. This was a fantastic episode. And if we're on YouTube, please like this video and subscribe and leave a comment and hit that bell button so you never miss an episode. Thanks so much, everyone. Robert, once again, thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
We'll see you on August 15th.
Yes, sir.
Downtown Queens
Thank you
Marque.
for having me.
Hey, anytime.